This report is sponsored by Allstate. Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Know why we made the free iHeartRadio app?
Why?
So you can bring your favorite radio station, just like this one, and thousands of others with you everywhere you go, right on your phone, along with tons of specially curated playlists to fit any mood or activity, from chilling out to working out. Ooh, and podcasts, literally hundreds of thousands of them. True crime thrillers, the latest headline news, sports, you'll find plenty of podcasts that are perfect for you. So start listening free now when you download the iHeartRadio app. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
iHeartRadio Earth knows small changes can make a big difference. Want to reduce your food waste? Embrace your freezer. From bread to meat and even cheese, most foods can be frozen and cooked later. Plus, a full freezer uses less electricity. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Professional women's tennis is coming back to the Harrah's Cherokee Center, Asheville on April 15th and 16th for qualifying tie between the United States and Ukraine. Don't miss Team USA as they go head-to-head in this exciting matchup for a spot in the 2022 finals. Tickets are on sale now at usta.com/BJKC to buy tickets and see some of the top women's tennis players in the world April 15th and 16th. Players subject to change.
There's a lot of talk about the COVID-19 vaccines, and everyone has an opinion. So I went to somebody I already trusted, my doctor. Talk to your doctor or healthcare provider and make the decision that's right for you. Go to getvaccineanswers.org for the latest information. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Audible makes it easy to do you. Take time out to lose yourself in a sci-fi epic, best-selling thriller, or celebrity memoir. Or dive into an exclusive you can't hear anywhere else. Whatever you're into, you can find the best of it on Audible with originals, audiobooks, and podcasts. There's wellness, true crime, motivation, and powerful new voices to discover. With so many included titles to enjoy, there's always something great to listen to with Audible. Sign up for your free 30-day trial today at audible.com.
Rogue Combat Club, Asheville's home for comprehensive martial arts training, has a goal for our community, one that's stronger, more fit, and unwavers in its support of one another. Rogue Combat Club's instructors have competed at the highest levels and offer classes for everyone from young children to adults in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Rogue Combat Club classes can help you boost your self-confidence and self-defense skills while weeding out the egos and intimidation found at other gyms. Join today at roguecombatclub.com.
Hey guys, I'm Ziggy, your local Philly girl, owner of Ziggy's Bakery and Deli. I've created a traditional northern deli with only the most authentic cheesesteaks outside of Philadelphia, served with provolone, white American, or Cheese Whiz. Our other classic deli sandwiches are made with the best quality meats and cheeses, available sliced by the pound. Join us for breakfast for house-made bagels with our custom cream cheeses. Or for something heartier, try a pork roll, egg and cheese, or house-cured lox. Ziggy's Bakery and Deli, in the corner of Asheville Commons, 1550 Hendersonville Road, open 8 to 3, Tuesday through Saturday.
The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man!
And it's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Tank Spencer, Caleb Peak is alongside with me here on this, our last day without Jeremy Greene on his vacation. We were glad that Jeremy was able to come in with us or with me earlier this afternoon and record that with Bert Kreischer. Yes, Birdie Boy Relapse Tour live on the stage at the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium tonight at 7 o'clock, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. And he is the same guy. He's the same guy that you see in everything he does, whether it be his stand-up, whether it be the show The Cabin on Netflix, or the Go Big show on TBS. Dude is he's an awesome character. And yes, He's one of the greatest.
The Machine. I didn't put two and two together until I actually heard him start talking. And the second he opens his mouth, I'm like, oh, hang on, it's that guy. That's iconic though.
I mean, the picture of the guy with his shirt off on the graphic, that didn't tip you off of.
It's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday.
It's been a long.
It is Friday.
Days.
You could. There are limited tickets still available for the show tonight at the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium, and again, doors open at 6 o'clock. Show starts at 7 o'clock. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com for the Birdie Boy Relapse Tour. Bert Kreischer live in Asheville. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and yeah, I'm going to be there. He actually hooked me up with tickets, so he took care of me. So Bert's already one of my all-time favorites.
Maybe you can translate this trip backstage into a trip into his man cave, huh?
Oh, I hope so. That would be fantastic.
That sounds like the place to be.
Oh yeah. And if you haven't checked out the videos of his tour, he keeps like this vlog going on YouTube, so he posts weird videos of his adventures in every spot that he goes to. You never know. Being in Asheville, Lord knows what trouble he could get into before the show tonight, or even after the show tonight. Anyway, once again, welcome into the program. And we're going to talk some football today. We've done a lot of basketball over the last couple of days, but I'm just, it didn't take long. I came in here on Wednesday and was like, you know what, it's time to focus on other things. And then after 2 days of doing basketball, I went, you know what, football, it's just, that's where it's at.
And I knew this was coming because I come into the studio yesterday and I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And we just kind of look at each other with a blank stare for about 10 minutes or so. I'm like, well, football it is.
No. We got all the football here. And I want to start out talking about college football because Jim Harbaugh got a new contract with Michigan. He flirted with the NFL, with the Las Vegas Raiders. That never came to fruition. And then obviously went to Minnesota on National Signing Day. He was supposed to interview for the job, didn't get offered it, goes back to Michigan. Then, 2 days ago, I believe, or maybe it was early or late yesterday, they announced that he had gotten a new contract. So he went from making the $8 million before to taking the $4 million pay cut after the 2020 season was, crap, basically.
Right.
He comes back this year, leads him to the Big Ten title, beats Ohio State, gets to the college football playoff. Now he's back up to $7 million a year. That's not really the hook for me, though. I expected him to get a pay raise after flirting with the NFL. I knew that was coming. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get back to $8 million a year, but it's the way the contract was set up. He has a very small buyout in this contract. Even if he wanted to flirt with the NFL next year, it'd only be like $3 million that somebody would have to pay to buy out his contract at Michigan. So I'm looking at this going, he didn't take, or he wasn't offered the Minnesota job. And then he comes back to Michigan and is like, I'll be here as long as you want me to. And then the next contract he gets is like minimal buyout. Is that confidence from the college thinking that, okay, maybe he is right. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he wants to be here and he's not going to flirt with the NFL anymore. Or did he have that worked in just in case he changes his mind?
He's savvy. I mean, Harbaugh's been doing this for a long time. He knows how to negotiate. So, I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit of maybe some overconfidence on the Michigan sideline or the Michigan side of things to offer him this, knowing that there's a non-existent buyout, that any NFL team, even the Houston Texans at this point, can come in and make that buyout. Not that Harbaugh would ever want to associate himself with that brand, but I mean, that's a safe bet for Michigan, right? I mean, you know exactly what you're going to get with Jim Harbaugh. And if you think about it, the world of college football is kind of in the precursor to where the world of college basketball is at this point, where now in college basketball, the head coach really doesn't matter that much. We saw it with North Carolina. Roy Williams for so long was the guy to play for. I mean, well, you had Coach K, of course, but if you were a North Carolina kid, you wanted to play for Roy Williams until the big blow up with Walker Kessler, and you start dropping recruits, and nobody wants to play the old school brand of ball, and then things begin to change, coaches drop out, and the new breed comes in. Well, college football isn't quite there yet. You still got your Nick Sabans of the world. You've still got your Jim Harbaughs, and these are guys who are recruiting money makers. So they go out, they find kids, and they turn up recruits from all over the place who want to play for the Harbaughs, the big names of the world. And I mean, he got you to a number 2 berth last year. So it's not a bad decision. I like the number, $36.7 million. It's large enough to certainly turn some heads. It's going to keep you around for a while.
Right.
And why didn't Harbaugh go to the NFL this year? He wasn't a good fit. So if he's not a good fit now, why would he not? What makes him a better fit 2 or 3 years down the road when he's even older now than he is?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't get offered the job in Minnesota, other than maybe they just decided that he's not worth the headache. I mean, because he's an abrasive guy.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to have a lot of control, a lot of power. Maybe they weren't willing to give that up. Maybe the new GM in Minnesota, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, maybe he wasn't willing to give that much power to Jim Harbaugh. Because now, see, remember, he worked for Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco. So maybe he wasn't willing to give up a lot of his GM powers or roster control, things like that Jim may have wanted. I don't know what the reason is. But I still think he's got the window to go back anytime that he wants to now. I mean, there's no prohibitive buyout in the contract. Not that was going to stop anybody anyway. I mean, next year, if things didn't go well with Josh McDaniels and Mark Davis decided, you know what, 1 year was enough. Now let's go after Jim Harbaugh. And it's not like he wasn't going to spend that money to buy out the contract anyway. It makes it a little bit more manageable. And I just don't think he's done with the NFL. I really don't. I feel like once that's in you and you haven't fulfilled your destiny, I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl. Eventually he may want to go into it, and especially the way that the NIL stuff is working right now. Like if the college recruiting gets that much harder and he starts losing more and more and more to Ohio State or to Alabama or to whoever, maybe he always has that out. He always has that out to go back to the NFL.
Yeah, booster clubs can really be overbearing. I mean, when you've been under the thumb of not only the athletic department, your AD and all that, but you've also got to answer to all the boosters and all the alumni and all these people that you have absolutely no idea who they are, yet they have all of this control over you. I can see how that would get abrasive, and that would really weigh heavily on you, especially someone with Harbaugh's personality who does have to be in charge like that. I don't know. Time is getting away from Harbaugh, though, and the past is the past. He's been to the Super Bowl, like you said, but I don't know. It's the NFL is changing. We saw it in Miami. Control is hard to come by. I mean, you're expected to be the head coach. You're expected to be the man in charge, but there's also a certain level to how much you can push before you have a mutiny on your hands. You get that in a college locker room to a certain extent, but at the same time, these are guys that need to be coached. They expect to be coached hard. They're, ridden hard and put away wet, as my grandpa would have said.
Right.
So maybe if he does make the jump to the NFL, I think it's probably as a quarterback's coach at some point, because it's becoming a younger man's game. Is it not?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is, and teams are looking at the young hot shots. They want to get the guy in there that's going to be modern and all of that. And Jim Harbaugh may not fit that mold anymore. Maybe his skill set, his schemes and things are best suited for the college game, to be in the Big Ten where you can continue to pound the ball on the ground and not, it's not a flashy offense, hard-nosed defense, run the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust, all that kind of stuff. You can still do that in the Big Ten. You can't do that in the NFL anymore without, an uprising of your fan base. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles got away with it this past year, but that was only because they have a quarterback that can't throw the ball.
Yeah, look what happened to the Eagles. Not very far.
Well, no, not very far. I don't think anybody expected them to go very far
right.
at all. Big decision was made in college football today. We'll get to that in just a second. First, let's get just a bit outside.
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
The Sportsocracy.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
I was very glad to see that there's been a good solution to the LA parade disaster. No, it's not that more people care and they're actually going to show up to the next parade. This was the woman who fell, the photographer who fell off of the stage at the Super Bowl 56 celebration, where Matthew Stafford and his wife Kelly were getting their picture taken by this woman. And she just kept backing up, and then flopped right off of the stage. Her name was Kelly Smiley. She's a sports photographer and a photo editor for the NFL and the LA Kings hockey team. And unfortunately, she did suffer a fractured spine when she fell off of the stage. And we poked fun at Matt, like Matthew Stafford was up there. He just nope, I'm done. Nope. And he just turned around and walked off. Kelly was, heartbroken over it and was gobsmacked over what was going on. Now we got a statement from the LA Rams and the Staffords as well. that says, "We have been in communication with Kelly Smiley since yesterday's incident, and we are sorry for what happened. As we told Kelly, we will be covering all her hospital bills and replacing her cameras, and we wish her a speedy recovery." She posted she had a post on Instagram of her sitting in a back brace. So she is, she's got the back brace on so she can't do any more damage than has already been done. They also started, some of her friends started a GoFundMe campaign for her, and within hours, this thing has already raised $36,000 to help Kelly Smiley recover from her fall at the stage of the Los Angeles Rams parade. So good on the Staffords for making this right. And I still feel like Matthew's going to have to answer some questions about that for years down the road. It was like, look, dude, I was drunk, and I didn't realize it was as bad as it was. I just didn't want anything to do with it right now.
Moral of the story here, if you want anyone to contribute to your GoFundMe, you got to break your back. Because otherwise it's going to be on zero.
Oh, it's a great cause. Great cause.
Let's see, just a bit outside. All right, if I could get my tab up here. There we go. All right. 2022 Hall of Fame induction in the WWE. Who's going to headline it? The Undertaker, right?
Of course. The dead man.
He belongs in the WWE, but here's what's so weird about this to me is that it's 2022 and we're just now doing this. Early in 2020 was his final match at WrestleMania. I think that's what, March? Maybe early April every year.
I think it's in April.
Something like that. It's been a while since I've actually paid the money to watch it. But yeah, it's 2020 is when he actually retired. And just now, you're putting The Undertaker into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, that's what I used to call my ex-wife when she would roll her eyes at me. I'm like, come on, Undertaker. You got to do better than that.
Well, you got to give it some breathing room. I mean, it's like, it's like players in the NFL. You got to wait 5 years before you can get into the Hall of Fame. Now, see, to me, he would be a guy that I would put in mid-career. Like you could go ahead and put him in. It doesn't matter. But the fact that Kane got in before him, that was a little weird, because I think that was just last year. Yeah. Last year they had the viral video of Undertaker calling Kane while he's, of course, the mayor in Knoxville now, and announcing that he was going to be in the Hall of Fame class this year. The Undertaker was phenomenal. He was, that's why they called him the Phenom. He was the first guy that, I really remember clinging to watching WWF back in the day, with the purple gloves and, rising out of the casket and Paul Bearer leading him down to the ringside. There was nobody in the business like Mark Calloway. No. And there will never be again, I don't think.
And first burst onto the scene in 1990. And, here's the thing. For the generation before me, for Gen X, for D-Generation X, if you will, I think Ric Flair was the big guy, right? He was everything. He has 2 Hall of Fame rings, and he's working on a 3rd for TNA at this point. He has a ring for as an individual wrestler, and he's got a ring as a member of the Four Horsemen as well. He became inducted into the WWE Hall in 2008, and he joins TNA in 2009. So Ric Flair is one of those timeless guys. But for my generation, it's all Undertaker all day. I mean, he is the WWE, and it's about time. 2 years later, it's long overdue.
Yeah, Kevin Vick in the comments, he's a big WWE fan. He says that the reason that they didn't do it sooner for The Undertaker was because they couldn't have people in the building. When at the ceremony, they didn't have fans in the building because of the coronavirus issues, and so they wanted to wait until they could have a full-on ceremony because, I don't know if they do this at the same place every year or what, but I bet you could sell out Madison Square Garden just for the Hall of Fame ceremony for The Undertaker.
Especially if you did it on top of the cell. On top of the Hell in a Cell
match.
Hell
in the Cell, yeah.
Yeah, that's quintessential Undertaker. I was all about it. It's like, how do these people not die getting thrown off of a 30-foot cage? It's wild.
Oh, it's fake. It's all fake. You know that.
Yeah, it's fake until you get tossed off of it.
It's still real to me.
Your death is very real when that happens.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so the big decision that was made today, they're not going to expand the college football playoff. We're just not getting the 12-team thing. until 2026. At least that's how it's coming out. They all got together this week. The committees met and they realized we can't hammer out an agreement until way down the line. So we're just going to push this college football playoff expansion past the current contract. So the current contract runs through the college football playoff of 2026. So the 2025 season will be the last time that we have 4 teams only in the college football playoff. This is coming whether, the ADs of the Big Ten and the ACC want it to happen. It was just, can we do it sooner than the current contract is up? That window has now passed, and now they've decided 2026, that season, so in 2027, will be the first time that we have more than a 4-team playoff, if that is the way it goes down, which I think right now is probably all likelihood is 90-10.
Yeah.
I don't see a way
probably.
that... the Big Ten and the ACC came up with this whole, voting block. They came up with the agreement so they could be a more powerful voice in the room against the SEC.
It's an alliance, really.
Right. They came up with this alliance, and they've been trying to push back against this. I don't understand why. Because you're already diminished in the sport.
No, it's purgatory, right? That's what the state of the playoff is right now. I really hated to see. When we first got into this, it's a unique concept, right? Okay, we're going to do this 14 playoff, but what initially turned me off to it was the fact that you're making the top 4 or 6 bowl games in the nation, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, so on and so forth, all these bowl games that have a rich history, and they had such meaning for so long, and now you're just taking them and turning them into a semifinal game, which, it's on to the next one. You win the Rose Bowl, okay, now we're going to go get ready for a national championship. And that always just felt wrong to me. That always just rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, if you're going to sacrifice a bowl game to make it a semifinal, to make it just a stepping stone to the championship, pick a different one. Pick one that doesn't have a history like the Rose Bowl and all of those. So, yeah, something needs to happen here. I think the 12-game playoff is inevitable. It has to happen because that's how everything else is going. The tournament style, the tournament seeding type of tournament is in high demand. It has worked for so long for NCAA basketball. Mm-hmm. It's the natural next step, and it has to. I really did think it was going to come sooner than this, but you can never get anybody on the same page, obviously. So,
see, I misread this. I thought it was going to happen as soon as possible because I thought the money would just be too much. By waiting until 2026 to go with the expansion, college football is giving up $450 million in potential revenue by not doing this. I thought that was going to be enough to get all of the naysayers on board with, fine, okay, we'll go to 12. That's just way too much revenue that we can't say no to, because it's going to get spread around to all the different conferences, and it's not just going to go to the Power Fives. Because the system that they're talking about putting in place is 12 teams, and you would have 6 conference champions. Well, that guarantees us a group of 5 every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down for that, and I guess by that the allocation of the revenue would be spread amongst more conferences.
Yeah, and your recruiting game increases. You get, the parity kind of evens out over time. But, other than the Sun Belt, I don't really know who else is going to have much of a fighting chance. But, yeah, it's step one, right? Like, you put it in place right now, and then maybe 5-10 years down the road, you actually do get this parity. But, yeah, you do have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get... eventually, I think we will get back to a point where things are a little bit more even, or you don't just have 4 teams that are ruling all. Maybe this does open the door for that. And I think Kevin Vick said it in the comments on the YouTube stream of they're just waiting for Saban to retire. Once Saban's contract runs out, then let's expand it out to 12 teams. If we had it this year, if you'd have had it this year, you would have had Alabama, Michigan, Cincinnati, Baylor, Pittsburgh, and Utah. Those would have been your 6 conference champions that would have gotten automatic bids.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Under the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Then these would have been the matchups in the first round. You would have Notre Dame against Ohio State immediately in the first round. That is a marquee game.
Prime time.
You'd have had Georgia and Ole Miss in the first round. Oklahoma State and Utah, and Pittsburgh and Michigan State. That would have been your first round matchups, and then you would have had Alabama, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Baylor all getting byes as the top 4 seeds. I think it's only a matter of time before this happens.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Because it adds a whole new intrigue to the end of the season. It's not so much. That's one of the things I always hated, like back in the day about college football, was if you lose one game, you're done. Like when we had the BCS formula. Like, well, if you don't go undefeated, you're not getting into the game. And I realized there were some years where it was a fight between one-loss teams, but usually we had like one undefeated team and then a couple of one-loss teams, and then you had to have the big debate. And that's why we got into this situation of, okay, let's go to a college football playoff. Let's have 4 teams. I think 12 should be the destination now and forever. I don't think we should get into a full 16 team. To me, there's no reason that the number 1 team in the country should have to play in the first round of a tournament.
And you're right. And it is going to happen. 16 is too many. I think 12 is the target number, and it will happen in 2026. But the only thing that could derail this is the not only injuries, but the threat of injury. Because we're seeing that right now. We're seeing seniors who have a bright future ahead of them. I mean, it doesn't matter what team you play for. If you're not in the hunt for a national championship, if you're not number 1 or immediately number 2, your stars, if they have any draft stock at all, are probably going to sit the game out. And that's only with 1 game on the line. That's with 3 weeks of practice between the end of the season and your bowl game. So now if you're playing 2, 3, maybe even 4 games, I don't know how the math works out on that, but you're playing at least 3 games in the postseason.
Right.
And if your stars are sitting out for all 3 of those, I mean, so you're seeing a different team now in the postseason.
Ain't nobody going to sit out for that.
You don't think so?
No. Once you get into a playoff, really?
Yeah.
You think anybody's going to opt out of the game, out of a play-in game or a playoff game?
If a kid who knows if he's not going to go number 1, but he has a chance to go maybe toward the end of the first round, somewhere in the second, I mean, it's more of an incentive to stay in the game, certainly. But the way these kids are now, I wouldn't put it past them. I think you are going to get some that are going to say, you know what, my future is more important than your championship. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate that some kids are feeling that way, but that's exactly what we're seeing. Because if they didn't feel that way, then every starter would be in every game that they played instead of sitting it out and letting somebody else go have a shot at it.
I'm just looking at these teams that would have been in it this year, and I can't see a path. There's not really a great example of a guy who's, at the very tip top. I'll use Georgia for example. They're the team that I know the best. So like Jordan Davis, who's first round draft pick, we believe, defensive tackle, he could go very, very high in the draft. You think there would be a path where if he knew he was coming up against Ole Miss in the first round of a college football playoff 12-team bracket, that Jordan Davis would be like, nah, I don't want to play?
And it depends on his mindset immediately at the time, because, I mean, what would you think? What would the NFL scouts think if you go into this game and you get hurt against Ole Miss? It's a game you're supposed to win. Sure, you're supposed to beat Ole Miss by 21, 28 points, but then you go in and tear your ACL. And then just immediately, your entire future is done, out the window.
Yeah, but that can happen in any game. That can happen in, the Big Ten championship game.
Sure it can.
So, I don't know. I feel like as long as the kids have a shot to win a national championship, they're going to play. They're going to play in these games.
That's how it should be. I got to see it in practice first.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't like, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey knew he was going very high in the draft. He was going to go top 10 in the NFL draft and opted out of his bowl game because it was meaningless. Now, if he'd have been the 12 seed, you got a shot to win a game. Move on, take your shot at Alabama. Maybe not. Maybe he would still make that decision. I have a tough time believing that, though, as long as there's a national championship on the line. If I'm just playing for some rinky-dink trophy, and I get that people who are fans of bowl games will think that that's a major slight, but really in the grand scheme of things, now that now that the chase is for that, that big college football playoff trophy, what really does the Orange Bowl mean unless it's part of the playoff?
Exactly. That's the point I was making earlier.
Right.
These bowl games are meaningless now because everyone is tournament-minded. It's just another stepping stone to get to the ultimate national championship.
Right.
So I think the only way...
I won't sacrifice my career for the Orange Bowl if it's not part of a playoff. If it's part of the playoff, though, that's a different story to me.
Right. Now, I mean, I think the only way that you can really stave this off is if the NCAA comes in and says, hey, postseason, you got to make your decision outright. You're either going to play in all the games or you're going to play in none of them. None of this sitting the first week, just because you're in a game that you're supposed to win, you're not going to sit this one out and come back in your second playoff game and start. No, you need to make your decision outright. Are you in or you're out? And we're going to move forward from there.
All right. Last night, we tried to give you some winners in the Greene on Greene. I was not able to do that for you. Both of my picks went south. I was really close. But, Philadelphia 76ers. That was one of those that I was like, should I take the 76ers plus the points against Milwaukee? But they just got blown out, and I should have done it. I took Milwaukee instead. I couldn't give you a winner. Did either of your games hit last night?
I don't know. I haven't even checked. I was afraid.
Way to keep up with your picks. Here, we're going to have some picks for you for the Daytona 500 coming up next in Greene on Greene.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never going to happen 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
This week at Ingles, select 12-ounce Frank's Hot Sauce, 2 for $5. Select sizes and varieties Keebler cookies, also 2 for $5. And select sizes and varieties Maxwell House, large can, or pod coffee, $5.98 each. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Real estate isn't about properties, it's about people. I'm Clarissa Marshall with eXp Realty, your native realtor serving all of Western North Carolina. I will work hard for you, and I believe in doing the right thing every time. I market each of my listings to reach out-of-town buyers. I use a professional photographer and drone video on every single listing, as well as collaborate with agents across the country to find your buyer. Check me out online at clarissasellswnc.com or give me a call at 828-774-6343. It would be my pleasure to assist you through the real estate process.
Have you ever felt depressed about work, only to have your dad be like, why are you so down? So you told him you hate your job, and he said, well, you better talk yourself out of it. And then you thought, I love to talk. I could host a podcast. And then you went to Spreaker from iHeart and started a podcast and got good at it, then monetized it, then quit your boring job, then told your dad, thanks for the advice. And he was like, well, that's not what I meant, and I don't understand what a podcast is, but you seem happy, so that's great, kiddo. You ever do that? Well, you could. At Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker. Ask your dad. You actually don't.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint, going to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. A truly regenerative treatment. Finally, a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. Is it time you got a second opinion? Call QC Kinetics now and wake up to a life without pain. Call QC Kinetics today at 828-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. QC Kinetics.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customer surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Did you know Kohl's home sale is going on right now? You can save on everything you need to refresh your space for spring. I just got 25% off Sonoma Goods for Life bedding, bath towels for only $8.49, and 40% off home decor. On top of those great prices, I got an extra 15% off and earned Kohl's Cash. Word of advice, shop Kohl's home sale if you want to bring home the savings. Select styles, 15% offer, ends February 21st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Coffee's the closer's only.
Get him the money.
Then when you get the money, you get the power.
That watch costs more than your car.
Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
All right, welcome back into ESPN Asheville. I know Flostradamus, he usually treats you better than I do when it comes to picking games, but we don't have any basketball tonight. But we do have the Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. So I'm going to give you a couple of guys that maybe you should put some wagers on at betus.com. Betus.com, promo code Sportsocracy. You get a 125% deposit bonus for whatever you put in, up to $2,500. Of course, I am going to go with, Denny Hamlin. You can't not bet on Denny Hamlin. He's plus 900 to win the thing. He's won it 3 times in the last 4 years or 5 years, something like that. But going a little further down the odds chart here, I'm actually looking at Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, I think I like that kid. There's something about him. I'm going to take a flyer on him. He's plus 5,000 to win it this weekend.
If you're going to pick somebody off the wall, the Daytona 500 is a great race to do it in. It's entirely possible Briscoe could win this thing. I did take a look at my picks for last night. I went 1 for 2. I had Brooklyn beating Washington in overtime. It did not go to overtime, and Washington ended up winning 117-103. I also had Dallas beating New Orleans by 10. They only beat New Orleans by 7. So there's an update on that. I did get a win at least.
Okay, good.
So I'm 1 for 4.
Good.
In the Daytona 500, got to bet on the Fords. Ryan Blaney is going to be my go-to this year. He got a 3rd place finish, or a top 5 finish in his duel last night. Fords are looking really, really good. They're connecting well with the next generation car. Brad Keselowski also got his first ever duel win last night. He's plus 1,400 to win this thing. He's got the mojo rolling. I like Brad to win the 500 as well.
All right, and Ryan Blaney's plus 1,200. Again, you can take your wagers to betus.com, betus.com, promo code Sportsocracy. Sports Center's coming up next. More football on the way.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Well, that big Pacific front marched on through, and boy, we had some impressive rains last night. Haywood County had some 2-inch plus totals from the front. All that's gone now. The atmosphere drying out, 22 degrees. Sunshine Saturday, high 47, and in the 50s for Sunday and Monday. Some 60 showing up next week with more rain in the forecast next week, Monday through Friday. Chance for rain. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Make this the winter of you with Audible. Listen to the best of what you love, from comedy to wellness to the latest bestsellers. Find it all at Audible, with audiobooks, exclusive originals, and popular podcasts. Start listening free when you sign up at audible.com.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Warehouse. Now carrying Casper mattresses. Try it before you buy it and save up to $595. Your dreams begin here. Visit sleephappens.com for a store near you.
Did you know Kohl's home sale is going on right now? You can save on everything you need to refresh your space for spring. I just got 25% off Sonoma Goods for Life bedding, bath towels for only $8.49, and 40% off home decor. On top of those great prices, I got an extra 15% off and earn Kohl's Cash. Word of advice, shop Kohl's home sale if you want to bring home the savings. Select styles, 15% offer, ends February 21st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
This is Sports Center.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Lennox. There will be no baseball spring training games through at least March 4th. MLB announcing today that without a new collective bargaining agreement in place, exhibitions will start on March 5th. At the earliest, MLB and the Players Association will meet again on Monday in hopes of negotiating next week on a new CBA. And there's hope that the two sides will now ramp up negotiations going forward beginning on Monday. Alan Hahn believes right now there's a lack of leadership with the Players Association.
The sport lacks that guy or maybe even a couple of people who could take a stand, get out on social media, wherever it is, and create sort of this campaign against those that are allowing this to drag through the mud right now.
Alan Hahn today and Barton Hahn here on ESPN Radio. The college football playoff will remain at 4 teams for 4 more years. The current 12-year contract expires after the 2025 season. NBA All-Star Weekend festivities underway in Cleveland tonight with the Rising Stars game. ESPN Radio's coverage underway at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight.
Brought to you by Capital One Auto Navigator, where you can find a car, get pre-qualified instantly, and see your real monthly payment without impacting your credit score. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Work. That's work. Enter it on our station website now.
Log on now to ESPNAVL.com.
He's a degenerate gambler.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
And he's cheaper than oxygen.
He's useless.
But somehow, they make it work. Jeremy Greene, Tank Spencer. There's no holding back in the Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sportsocracy heard everywhere on the iHeart Radio app, seen everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click on that live video link, hit the subscribe button. That'll get you into the chat on the YouTube stream as well. Best way that you can get in touch with us immediately here on the program. Of course, the program always brought to you by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. And we are live in the Ingles studio with Caleb Peak, filling in for Jeremy Greene, who's on vacation.
Jeremy makes it look easy, man. 3 days into this, and I'm sucking wind.
You're sucking wind? Really? Like,
a little bit.
You just got nothing left.
I'm used to my little 6-minute segment once a week. You got me in here sweating, man.
Come on, man. You got to hang in there with us. We got another hour to do. We got NFL news to talk about as well. If you missed our first hour of the program, we had the Machine, Bert Kreischer, on with us at the top of the program. You can check that out on the iHeartRadio app, of course, live or on demand. You can get the program, or that is a standalone right now also on the YouTube channel, so you can go back and listen to that. But of course, wait until after we're done here, and then you can go and listen to it while you're on the way down to the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium tonight, where Bert Kreischer is in town for his Birdie Boy Relapse Tour, 7 o'clock tonight at the Thomas Wolfe. The NFL obviously rules all. We talked about this just a couple of days ago, of obviously everything is all NFL-centric right now. And it's going to continue to be, because there's so many different ways that you can go about talking about what's going on in the NFL right now. And here's the thing. The Green Bay Packers have already said they're all in on Aaron Rodgers. They're all in, trying to come back, win a title, all of that. And now the latest news is that they have brought back one of his favorite coaches, Tom Clements, who was the quarterback's coach there with the Green Bay Packers for the early years of Aaron Rodgers' career, for 6 or 7 years, I believe, at the start of his career.
06 through 2011.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in, second year of Aaron Rodgers, leads the quarterback room up through the Super Bowl, through that first MVP season, and now they brought him back. I guess just trying to make the appeal that we're going to do whatever it takes. Now, I felt like the Green Bay Packers should have been at this point last year. You should have been all in, just give him whatever he wants. Because you've waited a year now and you're in the exact same place that you were last year. You're standing here begging him to come back because you know you don't have a path to winning without him coming back.
And there was a time period when it was a little bit of a negotiation, right? You know how it goes when both sides come to the table. Maybe one has the clear advantage. I mean, Aaron Rodgers it's his career. He spent his entire life in Green Bay, his entire professional life anyway, and it's kind of up to him how long he wants to stay there. The front office in Green Bay knows that, but they're not just going to come out immediately and just lay it all out on the table like, oh, we will do whatever you want. No, you got to try to get a little bit of a negotiation out of it, but we're way past that now. We're at the point where Aaron is, he's basically threatened to leave. He said, look, if you don't give me what I want, I'm out. And this is a very open, very public, basically just a groveling session by Green Bay. They said, look, we're going to give you exactly what you want. This is your favorite quarterback's coach. He got you your first Super Bowl ring. Here he is. We signed him for you. And now the news is, Aaron Rodgers is expected to figure out his plan, quote unquote, soon. So if he decides against this after Green Bay has already gone on the hook and brought Coach Clements back, how's it going to look for Aaron Rodgers? I mean, it's not great for him. He's going to look even worse than he has over the course of this last year. So I think it's a smart move by Green Bay just to come out and put it all out on the record very publicly. We've given you exactly what you want, Aaron. Now it's your turn to step up to the plate. And I don't know if he's going to.
You don't know if he's going to come back or not?
I mean, probably. He should. If I were him, he would. But if I've learned anything since 2020, don't count on anything. What you know is not exactly what you know. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers at this point is the only one who really knows.
This is true. I mean, he is a very weird guy. He comes and goes as he pleases, pretty much, and is in his own mind. I just don't know that I would have. I don't know. I wish it would have been handled differently. We can't go back and change it. Obviously, there's no reason on harping on the decisions that should have been made last year that are now being made now. Because, I mean, he's got the franchise by the short and curlies. I mean, they ain't going nowhere. Like, they have to do whatever it takes. And I don't know how you make that happen. Obviously, we've seen teams go through this cap gymnastics to try to make something work. I mean, Tampa did it for the last 2 years to squeeze Tom Brady and try to get a Super Bowl ring out of it. Thankfully, it paid off in one Super Bowl ring, couldn't pay off on another one. But how far did that? I mean, was it worth it? As a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, I don't care how the next couple of years goes. I have a Super Bowl ring. I have the memory of the ring to keep me warm for the next 15 years or however long it's going to be before we win another one.
And as a fan, that's exactly what you expect, right? I mean, you don't expect your squad to be a New England Patriots dynasty. You don't expect them to be perennial Super Bowl contenders. I mean, you're lucky to get a two-peat. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get a three-peat. If you were a Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s, you were ecstatic, right? Like, this is heaven. How is this happening? It's incredible. I mean, the vast majority of sports fans live their lives waiting for one championship. Their entire lives. And when they see it, they're happy with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can't expect too much.
Packers are going all in. How are they going to be able to make the money work? I don't know. Because, I mean, next year, Aaron Rodgers is going to cost them $48 million. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot to stomach.
And then if you want to, and then you got to figure out also a way to bring back Devontae Adams. You're already $50 million over the cap for next year. So how do you make all that work? You've got to try to figure out a way to make Aaron happy and give him some kind of a long-term deal where you can keep pushing this money down the line. I mean, he's, 40 years old? Or getting ready to be 40 years old?
Almost 40, yeah. And how long do you keep
stuck?
Yeah, how long do you keep trying to appease him? At what point do you hit your limit and you're like, you know what? We can't do this anymore.
There is no point. There is no, as long as Aaron Rodgers wants to play, he's going to be a part of my franchise. I mean, that's plain and simple. If I were in the front office, if I were Brian Gutekunst and I were making this decision, it's whatever it takes. Because if he leaves, I don't have any other options. I don't have an option to go out and get, Kirk Cousins to come in and fill in, because I've got my major mistake waiting in the wings of Jordan Love. I still feel like that's one of the worst draft picks ever in the history of the NFL, and I'm probably being too hyperbolic by saying that. But, I mean, you drafted a quarterback in the first round, traded up to draft a quarterback in the first round who hasn't seen the field, and the only times that he has when your star quarterback's been hurt, he didn't look like he belonged in the league. And I don't think that's just he needs more training, he needs more offseason, he needs more reps. I don't know that it's ever going to help.
But here's the counterpoint. Here's the argument for getting rid of Aaron Rodgers is that you know what you've got coming behind him. You've got Jordan Love. Obviously, you can't count on him, but you can't really count on Aaron Rodgers at this point either. He's getting old. I mean, whether it's an emotional thing, whether it's a physical thing, I just don't know how long that longevity is going to be for Aaron Rodgers. So if you are Green Bay, you can either A, go all in on Aaron Rodgers like they've swore that they're going to, and obviously by hiring Tom Clements, they have. They've kept their word on that.
Yeah.
If I'm in the Green Bay front office, I've got to be thinking, when do we start this rebuild? Because we've got to get it going soon. Aaron Rodgers is not going to last forever. This is a immediate to near future kind of discussion. This isn't 5-10 years down the road because the rebuild is coming. It's just a matter of when do you want to get it started, because the sooner you start it, the sooner it's over, and the sooner you're back as a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
But you have to make that decision of, are we a Super Bowl caliber team now? And if we make the decision to start over, then we're missing out on that window. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be 39 next year. It'll be his age 39 season. Okay? We get Devontae Adams to come back. We got, 3 years, maybe? I mean, you expect Aaron Rodgers is going to stick around for, age 45 like Tom Brady was talking about?
Absolutely not. No way.
He's already on the fence at 37. What do you think is going to happen in a couple of years? You got to come up with a win now plan. How you make that work, I don't know. But bringing in Tom Clements, it feels like a pretty good move of, I'm going to give you a guy that you spent 10 years with in this organization, 7 of it as the quarterback's coach. The other part of the time, he was the offensive coordinator, took over play calling duties from Mike McCarthy for a little bit, and then McCarthy took that back, and then, of course, McCarthy got fired, and all of that happened, and Tom Clements was gone as well. They also hired one of his former teammates. Did you see this? For the front office, Byron Storer, who was a teammate of Aaron Rodgers at Cal.
Huh. I haven't seen this story.
But okay. Byron Storer he's the assistant special teams coach.
Interesting.
Which he served in that same role under Rich Bisaccia, who is now the special teams coordinator in Las Vegas. So they brought along Storer to help out Bisaccia, but he was also teammates with Rodgers at Cal. So they're building this little, I don't know, this little clique, I guess, around Aaron Rodgers to make him feel more comfortable.
I'll tell you what they're building. It's a pressure campaign. Like I said, it's very open. It's very public. Now, not only do you have one of his favorite coaches, but you've got one of his favorite teammates from back in the day. Probably one of his closest friends, I would imagine, especially if they go that far back. So now you've got Aaron Rodgers on record. I mean, when he makes this decision, it's going to be out there for God and everybody to see. Either, hey, I'm in for these guys. They gave me who I wanted, and I'm in. Or I don't care. You can bring in whoever you want. You can bring Bill Belichick to Green Bay, and it doesn't care. I'm not coming back. Yeah. I mean, you've got to make a decision, and it's going to be a very open, public, and publicly derided decision.
Well, after Tom Brady, after Matthew Stafford, are we now living in the age of the mercenary quarterback, where guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, whoever, will find a way to get away from their current teams and just go to the best spot of just 1-2 year deals? Like, I'm going over here to try to win a championship. Is this going to become like the LeBron James era of the NBA of let's see how many super teams we can build? I think it's a good question. I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to go anywhere because I feel like that's already super team level. Like, if y'all can figure out how to make the money work, you keep Devontae in-house, you keep Aaron in-house, you figure out a way to clear the books so you can add as much as you can through the draft, get him another weapon, and you're steady. You're solid. You're golden. You just got to get over that hump in the playoffs, which they haven't been able to do. But unlike Aaron Rodgers haters, I don't believe that that's all on Aaron. It's all on what's been put around him.
Well, if you look around the league, it's if you are one of these teams that still has an establishment quarterback, you're lucky enough because they are. I mean, there's really only 3 or 4 left out of the 32 squads that actually have one of those guys. And I don't count Kirk Cousins as one of those in Minnesota because what has he done for you? He hasn't done anything for you since he's come there. So
he won some playoff games.
Okay, but I'm looking for hardware. I'm looking for some bling, and Kirk Cousins has got none of that. But I mean, so you got Dak Prescott in Dallas. You've got. I would say Justin Fields is probably going to be a long-timer in Chicago.
Maybe.
And
I think it's a little early for that.
I mean, if you're Chicago, how can you let him go?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the best you've got.
We're going to see. I mean, you would have said the same thing about Mitchell Trubisky after his rookie year of like, well, they're committed to him, and he may be the quarterback of the future, but I mean, that didn't work out. We all saw after the first year, we were all like, yeah, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have done that. So Deshaun Watson being thrown into the mix as well. Obviously, all of the things standing in his way of coming back into the league, but he's another one that's out there of, is this just the new wave of the future? The mercenary quarterback that you can get on a 1 or 2 year deal, bring them in while you've got the shot.
If anything, it's a temporary patch, right? Like that's not the goal. That's if you're in the front office, if you are a GM, it doesn't make sense to build a team that way. You don't put all the foundation, or you don't put the windows and the walls and everything up before you put the footer in. Mm-hmm. You've got to have a solid foundation to build on. And the quarterback, since the existence of the NFL, since the AFL days, going back before the Super Bowl, the quarterback has always been the cornerstone that you build everything around. So to really get away from that and to say, hey, we're going to go with the high rent model with the good guys who are just on loan for not in years, but in terms of months. You know what I mean? It really is just turning the whole concept of team building on its head. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if this is the wave. I don't know if it's current trend or if it's the future. But if it is, it's really going to usher in a totally different world in the NFL. I mean, this is going to be a totally different way of looking at things. It's going to be conceptually different, and it's going to take a lot of time to adjust to it. And if there's anything good that comes out of it, we could see some other teams start winning that we haven't seen in quite some time.
Nobody's willing to accept Russell Wilson's word that he wants to stay in Seattle. I mean, it came out earlier this week that he said I want to stick around. I want to win 3 more Super Bowls for this franchise. First off, that's not going to happen.
Nope.
I don't feel like you are surrounded by the talent that I mean, his wide receivers are great, but everything else around, in that organization is not Super Bowl caliber. So I feel like if he wants to win Super Bowls, he needs to move on and do that. But nobody's accepting that right now. Like every day there's another story linking Russell Wilson to somebody else. The Philadelphia Eagles or the Atlanta Falcons or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Denver Broncos. I think this is what the crowd is clamoring for now. Is we're more fantasy football now. It's not like the guy has to stay with the team that he's with because he's loyal to the team and the team's loyal to him. Now it's like, where can we go to get the best stats? Where can we go to get the rings? I think that's just how it's going to work now. And we want to see the movement, but will the movement actually happen is the question.
I'll take you bring up the Denver Broncos, and we got to go down this rabbit hole for just a minute because the establishment quarterback in Denver is a backup. You bring in Drew Lock expecting him to be the starter. Things don't pan out preseason. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Well, that doesn't go very well either. So Bridgewater's out. Lock comes back in. Now we're talking about Russell Westbrook.
I do that all the time, too.
No,
Russell Wilson.
RW. Russell Wilson coming in, being the starter in Denver. Who's going to sit behind him? Drew Lock, until Russell Wilson is gone again. And then who's the starter? Drew Lock. It's such a weird thing that your establishment quarterback is QB2. And again, that's something that we've never seen before in this league. It's fascinating.
Right. You are in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. What do you think? Are we in the time of the mercenary quarterback now? And how much movement will we see this offseason? We'll continue the discussion up next here in the Ingles studio.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Well, that big Pacific front marched on through, and boy, we had some impressive rains last night. Haywood County had some 2-inch plus totals from the front. All that's gone now. The atmosphere drying out, 22 degrees. Sunshine Saturday, high 47. And in the 50s for Sunday and Monday. Some 60s showing up next week with more rain in the forecast next week, Monday through Friday. Chance for rain. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
240 westbound slow between Charlotte Street and Montford Avenue. 240 eastbound slow between exit 3 and exit 4A. 26 westbound is stop and go between Chimney Rock Road and continuing to the Blue Ridge Parkway. An accident 26 westbound near Chimney Rock Road does have the left lane closed. In Haywood County, 40 westbound stop and go between Vines Creek Road and Harmondin Road. Sweden Creek Road, north and southbound approaching Mills Gap Road, is stop and go. Near Fletcher, Hendersonville Road northbound approaching Fanning Bridge Road, heavy delays. Near Avery Creek Boulevard Road northbound approaching Long Shoals Road is stop and go. I'm Lyman Field with your time saver traffic.
This report is sponsored by WhatsApp. No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. So no one, not even WhatsApp, can read your messages. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint, going to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. A truly regenerative treatment. Finally, a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. Is it time you got a second opinion? Call QC Kinetics now and wake up to a life without pain. Call QC Kinetics today at 828-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. QC Kinetics.
It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Warehouse. Now carrying Casper mattresses. Try it before you buy it and save up to $595. Your dreams begin here. Visit sleephappens.com for a store near you.
Hola, Carla speaking.
Carla's roofing company always goes above and beyond.
Yeah, we heard about next week's forecast.
She needs a new foreman to weather a storm of projects.
You mean another full crew before Wednesday? Mira, Jose, can you work Wednesday?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This week at Macy's, we're ready for a winter pick-me-up with an extra 20% off when you use your coupon or Macy's card. Or shop incredible specials like 30 to 40% off designer handbags and 65% off coats to finish the season in style for him and for her. And get 1,400 thread count sheets for just $39.99. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. See Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Real estate isn't about properties, it's about people. I'm Clarissa Marshall with eXp Realty, your native realtor serving all of Western North Carolina. I will work hard for you, and I believe in doing the right thing every time. I market each of my listings to reach out-of-town buyers. I use a professional photographer and drone video on every single listing, as well as collaborate with agents across the country to find your buyer. Check me out online at clarissasellswnc.com or give me a call at 828-774-6343. It would be my pleasure to assist you through the real estate process.
The Sportsocracy.
That is some good, clean family fun there, eh, Cot? Right you are.
Tank Spencer and Caleb Peak back here with you in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. Check us out at thesportsocracy.com. Click on that live video link. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see all of our team-by-team content throughout the drafting season. We have all of our 7-round post-Senior Bowl mock drafts up right now on the YouTube channel, and we're gonna do more of that as we go on, heading toward this April's NFL draft. We've been talking about going all in, And Aaron Donald, he has made his thoughts known of, sure, they had the parade, and he was like, yeah, let's run it back. And then he clarified, and he said, I will run it back as long as you bring everybody else back as well. You got to bring back Von Miller. You got to bring back Odell Beckham Jr., and then I'll come back. First off, I'm going to say no. I mean, look, I don't have anything against those players. If we can make it happen and I'm Les Snead, I'm making it happen. I said it yesterday. I'm doing the same thing that Jason Licht did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If I can get everybody back, we'll bring everybody back. All 22 starters from the Super Bowl. I'll bring them back if I possibly can. If I can't, though, I still don't buy that Aaron Donald is not going to be a part of this team.
Yeah, he has to be, right? He is the anchor. Like in the previous segment, I know I said the quarterback is the cornerstone of all franchises, but lately in LA, I mean, Aaron Donald has been your main go-getter. Everyone wants to play with Mr. All Madden 99, the golden cleat.
Well, you knew it wasn't going to be Jared Goff. You knew it wasn't going to be him. And Matthew Stafford ain't been around long enough, and he still can't get he's still not getting just desserts from winning the Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, but he's got all the talent around him. Did he really make that big of a difference? He's still got his doubters. Aaron Donald's the only one that you can look at and go, there ain't no doubt about that dude. That dude is a number one in the league, first ballot Hall of Famer. Immediately, he could retire today, be done, he'd be the greatest of all time.
Oh, he's scary.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just an athletic freak like there's never been in the league. The only other person in history that comes close to him as a defensive tackle was Warren Sapp, and I think he has kind of done leaps over Warren. And that's a lot for me to say as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
I'd like to see Sapp versus Aaron Donald in a 40-yard dash. You know what I mean? Aaron,
he would smoke.
He would eat
Warren
his
Sapp.
lunch. Donald can move for a big. That's the scariest thing about him. Not only is he a beast, but he can fly.
Right.
It's crazy.
But are we in the time of the mercenary quarterback? There's only one that I think right now in this free agency period, this offseason, that's even going to matter, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't expect Russell Wilson to move on. I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to move on. I figure they're gonna figure out a way to make those guys happy, keep them in the building. Because once you got a guy like that, you don't let him go. Whatever you have to do, you bring that guy back. It's guys like Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford where you go, yeah, okay, maybe. I feel like Kirk Cousins is very underrated. Scott mentioned this in the comments on the YouTube stream earlier of if you put him in San Francisco, that would have been a Super Bowl team.
That's
possibly
hard to
for a couple of years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
As well as they play and as well as Kirk Cousins throws the ball. I just feel like he's never been surrounded by enough talent to win at all. He took them as far as they possibly could with Stephon Diggs and the Minnesota Miracle and all that. They weren't going any farther than that.
And that was all Stephon Diggs.
Right. You got the walk-off win. I mean, come on. You got to give Kirk a little credit. He's the one that threw it out there.
He threw the ball, but Diggs ran the route.
It was out there
and shook his man.
I mean, he kind of put it on the plate for him. It would drop right in the breadbasket. How many food references can I use?
Until you have to get that PhD weight loss spot.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's coming in just a second. But to me, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I get Deshaun Watson, but we can't talk about him right now. I don't feel like that's even worth talking about because we don't know if he's going to be able to come back, if he's going to be suspended by the league, any of that stuff. So you take everything off the table. The safest bet right now, if you're a team looking for a quarterback next year, to me, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. And I get that he may not be the flashiest guy around, but again, he has been to a Super Bowl.
I mean, I think he's pretty flashy. If you're gonna, Jimmy G has kind of that Broadway Joe type of air about him, right?
Does he?
I think he does.
Okay.
With the entourage that he carries around him, he's the big San Francisco guy on campus. But again, you got to win. If you're anywhere in California, no matter where you are in the state, if you're not winning, you're a bum. Even if you get to the NFC title game, if you don't get to the Super Bowl, what have you done for me?
Right.
Well, you got me one step away from a title. So thanks for nothing, pretty much, is what that comes down to. It's not exactly fair, but that's the mentality out there. So, I mean, if I'm Jimmy G and I'm not feeling appreciated, maybe it's time to go somewhere else. Maybe it's time to lift another team out of poverty.
I think that's the best way for San Francisco to go. Of Jimmy, we appreciate it. I heard, I think it was Mike Tannenbaum was on the ESPN radio earlier today, and he was talking about how he thought that Jimmy Garoppolo should be retained by the San Francisco 49ers, and because he's the guy in the building. You still have Trey Lance as a backup plan. You don't want to go into a season, just handing over the reins to some rookie. What happens if he gets hurt? And then you're really screwed because you don't have the guy in the building that knows the thing. You got to get something out of one of these guys. If you want to continue to be a Super Bowl caliber team, which I believe San Francisco is in that mix, they're on the short list. You have to capitalize on the assets that you have. I've only got Jimmy for another year. I could trade him, save some money, and recoup assets. And especially if Aaron isn't going to move, and Minnesota sticks with Kirk Cousins, they're not going to make a trade. Russell Wilson's not moving. I'm not in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes because I don't want any part of that right now. If I'm a franchise in need of a quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo's the one that I can go, you know what, I could probably give up not too much and get him to come in here. And it also drives the price up for everybody else.
That's true.
If there's one quarterback that everybody wants to go after, then you could probably get a first-round draft pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought that was crazy when I first heard it, but the more and more I've thought about it, I mean, Pittsburgh giving up the 20th pick overall to get Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, if they think they're in a win-now window, that seems like a pretty good idea.
If you're going to offload Garoppolo, you've got to be able to find a quarterback, though, that can mesh with Deebo Samuel, because he is such a unique talent, and he's one of those guys that you can't just jump in. You can't land in the city on Friday and play with a guy on Sunday. You can, but it's not going to go very well. It takes some time to adjust to this weird hybrid running back / wide receiver. You've got to spend time, in practice and during the summer working together, getting on the same page, because a lot of Deebo Samuel's game is just trust from the quarterback.
But that's why Trey's there. I mean, you gave up the draft capital last year to get Trey Lance. You gave up 3 first-round draft picks to get Trey Lance.
Yeah.
He's got to be your guy. He has got to be the guy that you take it over now. And let's recoup some draft capital by shipping Jimmy G out. That's been the plan from the jump, and I don't see that ever changing. Jimmy Garoppolo could be the piece that some team is missing. Now, if you threw him, that was nice. If you threw him in with the Washington football team, does that instantly make them a contender? I think it does for their division.
Yeah, in the East, certainly.
Yeah, because God knows what's going to happen with Dallas. And Philadelphia, you already have a better situation than Philadelphia, in my opinion, because you got a quarterback that can actually throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. New York's an afterthought at this point.
Yeah, New York's not.
They won't be good for another 4 or 5 years. I mean,
they're stuck with Daniel Jones, and I don't know what they did. They need to move on from Daniel Jones, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Brian Daboll's going to give it his shot with Daniel Jones, see if he can make that a reclamation project. Indianapolis feels like they're done with Carson Wentz. They're going to save some money by cutting him or trading him out or whatever. So they could be a destination spot for Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think he's the guy.
What about New Orleans? I mean, you've got Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston there.
Yeah, but they don't have any money. That's the thing. They're killed against the cap.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already it was $75 million over the cap for next year.
They're in a bad situation.
And you got to figure out how to cut salaries and how to, you're going to lose pieces this year in free agency because you ain't going to be able to bring back Teron Armstead. You have no money to work with. You have no claim to any type of Super Bowl contention, in my opinion, in New Orleans. You got a pretty good defense. Got a good coach. I like Dennis Allen. He's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to keep around, what's his name, Carmichael, that has been helping Sean Payton run the offense for the last few years. They're going to keep him around as the offensive coordinator. So they're trying to just tread water. They're trying to keep their head above the water right now.
One of the biggest problems with the NFL is when it comes down to you're paying less attention to the players and more attention to your CFO. The financial mismanagement that we're seeing around the league, it's really bad. It's off-putting.
I wanted to ask you this question. Have you even looked at the quarterback salaries for next year?
Not recently, no. Not
I
since
just
this time
want to
last
ask this
year.
question. I want to see what your off the top of your head answer is. The highest paid quarterback in the NFL next year will be who?
Next year, Russell?
No,
Wilson?
is not Russell. Russell is sixth. Excuse me. He'll be making $37 million.
It won't be Trevor
That's
Lawrence.
more than $10 million behind this guy. No, it ain't Trevor.
Yeah, it's not
He's
Trevor.
Still
He's
on a
too
rookie
young.
Deal.
He's
He's
way
still
too
on
young
a
for
rookie
that.
deal.
Huh.
It's Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is going to make $48 million this year.
Based on seniority alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's the way that they've structured his contract.
Yeah.
And they backloaded it so much that now he's in the last 2 years. 2 years of his contract left. This year, he's going to make 48. The next year, he's going to make 46 in the last 2 years of the deal. It's insane. That's why I think it's hilarious when people say, oh, well, Matt Ryan, Atlanta needs a quarterback. Well, they better draft one because they're not getting that contract taken away from them. Like, no team in the NFL is going to touch Matt Ryan for $48 million next year. Aaron Rodgers, should everything stay with the Green Bay Packers, he'd be at 46 next year. Kirk Cousins is third at $45 million even. And then you got Deshaun Watson at 40. Those are the top four quarterbacks in pay next year.
Deshaun Watson is in the top 5 and highest paid quarterbacks with everything that's going on. Wow.
And get this, there's going to be another $40 million quarterback coming online. And I'm not going to be shocked if it's Derek Carr.
Now that I can get behind.
You could get behind paying $40 million for Derek Carr?
Well, what's he done throughout his career? He's constantly progressed, right? I mean, no, he hasn't sniffed the Super Bowl. He hasn't been what everyone thought he was going to be, but he's been better than a lot of the alternatives, right? I mean, if you need a quarterback, and he's a quarterback. I mean, he's not a bad one. He's not a great one, but he's not a terrible one either. He can take the snap. He can complete some passes, and every now and then he'll give you a you like that kind of moment. Yeah. You know what I mean?
$40 million, it seems like a whole lot of money for Derek Carr, but there again, I'd say the same thing about Kirk Cousins, and I think they're kind of on par with each other after what I've seen this past year. Hey, look, see, I finally said something good about Derek Carr. All right, let's get weird.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
And Caleb, can you start us off with the weird news here? Because my story seems to have disappeared from my screen.
Oh, it's all good.
Give me a second to pull this back up, and then and you go ahead, and then I'll go.
Oh, I can bloviate for a second. No worries. All right, so you've seen the video come across your news feed or whatever from Chihuahua, Mexico, back on February 7th when flock of birds, I wanted to say flock of seagulls. I'm not old enough for that, though. Flock of birds flying over this little village, this little hamlet in Mexico, and all of a sudden, it's just like a wave. It was like an EMP hit and every jet fell out of the sky. All these birds just crashed to the ground, right? And some of them fly away, but there are just carcasses, right? Like there are just birds lying in the street dead because they've self-impacted on the ground. They just fell. You didn't see this?
No.
Yeah, it was all over Facebook. It was the craziest thing, and everyone is like, what happened to these birds? Why are there flocks of hundreds of birds basically committing suicide in the middle of the street? It's just incredible. And so there are a couple of theories, right? One is that it's maybe these birds flew through a cloud of lethal chemicals, but the problem with that is autopsies of the dead bird specimens, I'm quoting from the CNN report here, would need to be completed to determine if that was the case. And we all know the way the money works in this world nowadays, that ain't going to happen. So really, now the general consensus is that it was probably one predator, one bird, maybe a falcon or something, flying high up above this flock of hundreds upon hundreds of blackbirds that caused them to react the way that they did. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because your first reaction is, right, okay, what a bird brain. You're giving that phrase some merit here. Like, that's one of the dumbest things that you could do. You see your predator, and the first thing you do is kill yourself. But then what's the entire premise of most horror movies out there? People injuring themselves trying to get away from the threat. And that's exactly what's happening here.
Sure. Okay.
So you've got your predator outnumbered, but the birds don't seem to realize that there's strength in numbers, right? And so instead of getting away from the predator, you just take yourself out. And it's just, if you haven't seen the video, check this out. I mean, it's just like, it's a black cloud just descends on this neighborhood. And a lot of these birds don't fly away. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy. And it's weird.
And this is where Jeremy would say hashtag birds aren't real.
I've got video evidence to prove it.
Yeah, we all do. He just doesn't want to buy into it. I saw this and I had to... they call it a much gentler process. Once someone has passed on, there are a few different options that you have after, for the body, for the plans, for the body.
For your disposal.
You're right. So I don't want to say disposal, to lay that person to rest. You can go the traditional route with the casket and all of that and been buried into the ground. There's cremation, which I'm a big fan of. That's for me, that's the way I want to be handled when I'm done. Just get it over with. You don't have to have a plot of land with me there. You could just carry me around in a sack if you want to. I don't know. I don't care what you do with it.
Economical.
Never heard of this though. This is called aquamation. This is water cremation. Never heard of this before. But obviously, it's cremation. Only using water instead of using fire. I have heard some people say, have you ever had this discussion with somebody about being cremated after they're dead? And they're like, well, I have this fear of burning alive, so I wouldn't. That's not the way I want it to go. Like my dad, honestly, this is his mindset. If he wants to be buried in the ground because he's afraid of burning alive, and I don't know. I keep trying to tell him, like, there's no way that you're going to go through this process and still be alive when they're trying to, cremate your body. But, I guess, so if you're afraid of burning alive, you wouldn't be cremated. If you're afraid of drowning, you wouldn't want to do the water cremation. This is a new thing it's only legal in about 20 U.S. states. But they will put your body, they'll put the remains into a stainless steel vessel, and you'll be submerged in a solution of 95% water and 5% alkali. It says usually sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide. The chamber is heated for 3 to 4 hours, and it liquefies everything in the chamber except for the skeleton.
Well, at least it's warm.
I guess. Then, after the process is finished, your bones are so brittle that they break apart. And there you have the cremation. The bones are so brittle that they just kind of turn into dust. And you can be put in an urn. You do whatever you want. The reason that this is not legal in a bunch of states is because, one, it's new, and another one is that there are a lot of religious what's the word? Hiccups.
Zealots?
I guess, to
hiccups.
it. No, well, I mean...
or some of those too.
Right, but it's... So what happens with all of the waste from this?
So what you're telling me
is... It goes back into the water system. They basically just flush everything down the drain.
Wait.
Right.
So they don't put your remains in like a little Ziploc bag or
no,
something?
No, all the things that liquefied, they just go out with the water.
The cloudy water just goes out the drain.
Right.
Yeah, that's not EPA safe.
I mean, it is. Apparently it is because it's legal. I mean, it is legal in about 20 states, but there are people that have issues with this taking place in certain states because that stuff's going back into the water system, and they do a great job of purifying water in a lot of places around here. I don't know if I'd be down for that.
I mean, I think things die in water all the time, and fish die in water constantly, right?
This is true. This is true.
So if burial by fire is cremation, and burial by water is aquamation, so regular burial should be called claymation, right? This makes the most sense to me.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job for you.
Maybe you'll bring me back sometime.
Yeah, sometime. Sometime we'll bring you back. We got a big weekend coming up in the sports world. Obviously, the NBA is down to the All-Star weekend. We got All-Star festivities starting tonight. You have the celebrity game, the celebrity All-Star game. You
can't wait.
You all excited about that?
Can't wait.
Yeah, right. You can't. I saw the list of celebrities, and look, I'm not the hippest of people. Y'all know this about me. Jeremy makes fun of me all the time for being an old man. But there are a lot of people on the All-Star, or the Celebrity All-Star game that I have no idea who any of them are. The one that I do know, or one of the ones that I do know, Jimmy Allen, who played at Silverados, the country guy. Mm-hmm. He's going to be playing in the game. Machine Gun Kelly also playing. Then there's Quavo. I know Quavo because he was in the game last year. I think he was the MVP of the game last year. Kane Brown, Myles Garrett, and then even the mayor of Cleveland is playing in the Celebrity All-Star game. So I guess, that's the level in Cleveland. Like, who can we get to come be in this? Well, where's Drew Carey? No, you can't get Drew Carey. He's busy. He's out in California now doing Price is Right still, I guess. Yeah, the mayor. We'll get the mayor to do it. Alice Cooper lives right down the street, doesn't he? You could at least bring him around. Yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Sub him in the last minute, maybe. Before he gets too winded.
But tonight, it's going to be Team Bill Walton against Team Dominique Wilkins in the Celebrity All-Star game. Those are going to be your coaches tonight. And then you got the Rising Stars game. It's going to have LaMelo Ball, all those guys. So that's going to be fun.
That'll be fun, yeah.
All-Star Saturday night has lost all its luster to me. Am I the only one?
I've lost interest, really, and not all interest. I do still pay attention, of course, since I have to come do the sports radio talk thing every now and then. But it's just not what it used to be to me. It's such a different kind of game now. The one thing I do like out of All-Star Weekend are the celebrity skills challenges, because that's what does make the NBA so great, in my opinion, is the way that they can just do the fundamentals, the way that these guys can handle the ball, the ways that they can get the ball up and down the floor. It's just it's obviously on a different level than you see anywhere else around the world. So I'm just a fundamental guy. I'm an old school guy like you, Tank. I like to see the fundamentals done, and I like to see them done well. So I think that's more entertaining than the Rising Stars Challenge and the celebrity thing, whatever it is.
Look, the skills competition, I'm never around for. That's always the first thing on All-Star Saturday night, and I always end up missing it. And then I come in for probably the last little bit of the three-point competition, which is always fun. I don't care who's in it. I really don't, because at this point in the NBA, pretty much everybody can shoot threes.
You've got to shoot it.
Unless you're Ben Simmons, you're probably going to be in the three-point competition at some point. By the way, we got Trae Young, Fred VanVleet, Karl Anthony Towns, and Patty Mills are in the three-point competition, along with Desmond Bain, Luke Kennard, Zach LaVine, and C.J. McCollum. At least we all have somebody to root against Luke Kennard. So there's that. Duke connection. I just can't do it. So we will all root against him in the three-point competition. But then the slam dunk competition comes around, and I'm like, wait, so you only got 4 guys doing it now. It still takes 5 hours, it feels like, to get it done. And it's just not what it used to be.
And you still don't get anything spectacular out of it. And you still don't get Dwight Howard with the cape and the Superman jersey, flying from the free throw line. That's long gone.
We'll see. We'll see if they can put on a show. You got Obi Toppin. Obviously, he's a high flyer. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. You got Jalen Greene, the young kid from the Houston Rockets. And then Cole Anthony and Juan Toscano Anderson. Those are your 4 participants in the AT&T Slam Dunk competition on All-Star Saturday night. And then, of course, Sunday you got the game, which it's going to be final score prediction 197-202.
I'll take the over on that.
You gonna take the over?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous total. It was like 220 points for the winner last year. It was unbelievable.
Right. So All-Star Weekend coming up. I'm going to be interested. I'm going to be popping in and out to see who wins what. But all in all, what the weekend really comes down to for me is the kickoff of the NASCAR season. We'll talk about the Daytona 500 coming up next here on ESPN Asheville.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Traffic is slow, 240 westbound between Charlotte Street and Montford Avenue, 240 eastbound stop and go between exit 3 and exit 4A, 26 westbound stop and go approaching Hendersonville Road and continuing to the Blue Ridge Parkway, Haywood County 40 westbound stop and go between Fines Creek Road and Harmondin Road as ongoing construction continues. Near Avery Creek, Bavard Road northbound approaching Long Shoals Road is stop and go. Hendersonville Road northbound between the Arden area and Long Shoals Road, traffic is stop and go. Sweeten Creek Road northbound stop and go between Royal Pines and Mills Gap Road. I'm Lynn Benfield with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Warehouse's Clean Shop Promise. It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Warehouse. Save up to $800 on major national brands. Buy one, get one 50% off select pillows. Get free next-day delivery and 0% interest financing on qualifying purchases. Visit sleephappens.com.
Have you ever felt depressed about work, only to have your dad be like, "Why are you so down?" So you told him you hate your job, and he said, "Well, you better talk yourself out of it." And then you thought, I love to talk. I could host a podcast. And then you went to Spreaker from iHeart and started a podcast and got good at it, then monetized it, then quit your boring job, then told your dad, "Thanks for the advice." And he was like, "Well, that's not what I meant, and I don't understand what a podcast is, but you seem happy, so that's great, kiddo." You ever do that? Well, you could. At Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker. Ask your dad. You actually don't.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. It sure feels good to step into a warm car after letting it heat up for a few minutes. However, this practice wastes gas, increases emissions, and pollutes the air. Limit idling your car to no more than 3 minutes to save money at the gas station and improve air quality. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Professional women's tennis is coming back to Asheville at the Harris Cherokee Center April 15th and 16th for qualifying tie between the United States and Ukraine. Tickets are on sale now at USTA.com/BJKC to buy tickets and see Team USA tennis in this exciting matchup April 15th and 16th.
Did you know Kohl's home sale is going on right now? You can save on everything you need to refresh your space for spring. I just got 25% off Sonoma Goods for Life bedding, bath towels for only $8.49, and 40% off home decor. On top of those great prices, I got an extra 15% off and earned Kohl's Cash. Word of advice, shop Kohl's home sale if you want to bring home the savings. Select styles, 15% offer ends February 21st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Next on the luge, James Cooper.
James, you can't luge.
I didn't think I could get a credit card either, but Credit Karma showed me cards that I'm most likely to get approved for. That's Karma Confidence.
I got a card too, James. Members who shop on Credit Karma get approved 66% more. That doesn't mean you can luge.
Lose it or leave it, baby.
Karma Confidence. Great for credit cards. Not so great for the luge. Member approval rates in 2021, 66% higher than 2020 CFPB national average. Approval not guaranteed.
The Sportsocracy.
Fire them cannons. By golly, put more powder in those things.
I had to get at least one in before Jeremy comes back because he's not going to let me play that the rest of the year because the Bucs lost, and that's just how that goes. Speaking of losing, I've been losing a lot of weight with the PhD weight loss program, and I cannot recommend this life change to you enough. I now weigh 255 pounds, and that's just 12 weeks on the PhD weight loss system that I have lost more than 40 pounds. I am on a roll to reaching my ultimate goal, which is going to put me somewhere in the range of 170 to 175 pounds. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but this program makes it so easy because they give me all the food that I need to get through it. 80% of the food that you need on this program, they will supply for you. Nutrition or burning fat is 80% all about nutrition. And as long as you're putting those things in your body, you don't have to go through rigorous exercises and all of that. the weight just kind of falling right off. I'm dropping pant sizes like crazy. I'm borrowing clothes from friends who've been skinnier than me for years. You want to have a good experience with losing some weight? You need to give a call to Dr. Ashley Lucas and her folks over at PhD Weight Loss. Just go to myphdweightloss.com. Book a consultation today. I tell you, you will not regret it. myphdweightloss.com. The Daytona 500 is this weekend, and we had the duels last night. You got two winners. First one was Brad Keselowski. Second one was Chris Buescher, which, man, Joey Logano, he wasn't too happy after last night, crashing on the last lap. Now he's going from possibly starting on the second row of the Daytona 500 to having to start at the back of the pack because they had to go to a backup car. So that's a little upsetting for Joey Logano and his fans. Fans of the champion, though, Kyle Larson, he's going to be starting at the front. He won the pole for the 500. Alex Bowman's going to join him on the front row as well. Then you'll have Keselowski and Buescher right behind them on row 2 as the dual winners. Who you got?
Well, the Chevys are up front, qualified well all by themselves, alone on the track. But in the draft is where it's going to be of utmost importance, and the Fords have got it dialed in, as they have for the last couple of years. But now we're in the next-gen car, which is really kind of going back to the roots, quote-unquote, of NASCAR, if you will. Obviously, it's not a true stock car, but the way these body styles are now designed, it's a little more imitational of the actual production car. It actually looks more like a Mustang, or it looks more like a Camaro, and the aerodynamics kind of react accordingly. And you've got a lot more leeway that you can adjust these cars in race as well. Pit stops aren't going to be as much of a factor either, mainly just putting gas in the car. It's how long are you willing to stand there and wait for that tank to fuel up, and that could really become important as long as especially if we stay green coming down the stretch. But in the draft, the Fords they're hooking up. When they're nose to tail in a straight line, they're pulling away from the rest of the field, and it's all the Chevys and the Toyotas can do to reel them back in. So for that reason, Brad Keselowski, I think he's on the money this weekend. He's a brand new race owner. He's 1/3 of RFK Racing with Roush Fenway. Keselowski got his first ever win in the duel last night, taking pictures with Jack Roush, all happy and proud. And the way that car is running, I think it's Fords 1, 2, 3, 4, and really? Keselowski drags him across the line.
Okay, all right. I'm going to be pulling for my guy Kyle Busch, but here's the thing: Kyle Busch never wins at Daytona. He's never won the 500. He's only won one race in his career at Daytona. Period. So I feel like he's never going to do it. I mean, I actually want to see Chase Elliott win. That's become my new fan favorite is Chase Elliott. So I think I'm going to put all my chips into that basket. Daytona 500 this weekend. You got All-Star Weekend as well. All of you have a great one. Go on out tonight to the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium. See Burt Kreischer in action if you can. And we will see you back here, not Monday. Monday's a holiday. We will see you back here Tuesday at 3 on ESPN Asheville.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
Well, that big Pacific front marched on through, and boy, we had some impressive rains last night. Haywood County had some 2-inch plus totals from the front. All that's gone now. The atmosphere drying out, 22 degrees.